Hey grade 12s, in today's video we're going to check out question 8, the start of Euclidean Geometry for the Math Paper 2 June 2024 Gauteng paper. My name is Michael. I've been tutoring for the past 5 years, helping students throughout their entire high school careers from grade 8 to grade 12 improve their marks substantially, some from 20s to 60s, some from 40s to 80s, on average more than 20% for both math and science. In today's video we're going to break down this Euclidean Geometry question that mainly has to do with grade 11 geometry using a bunch of rules that have to do with lines from the center of the circle, so we have radii involved, as well as tangents to the circle. If you're having difficulty with Euclidean, I hope this video helps, so let's jump right in. So question 8 here says, in the diagram below, O is the center of a circle, so that is important for us, which means any lines from O are radii. So we have a radii here and a radii here. That's important. A, B, and D are points on the circle. BC is a tangent, so we're going to highlight BC here as a tangent so that we can see if any tangent rules apply. So BC is a tangent to the circle at B over here, and DBC is 22,5 degrees. Chord AD, so it's not cutting through the center of the circle, is produced to C, so its angles on a straight line over here, such that CD over here equals BD as they mentioned. So we can already see that CD over here is equal to BD, which means that 8.1 says determine giving reasons the size of 8.1.1 angle A1 for 2 marks. So they want angle A1 over here. So for 2 marks, we usually have to find the most direct approach from this information that's been given to us to get directly to the angle that they're asking for. Because what we're going to see is that each thing we calculate here, we're going to use to calculate the next question. So how can we go directly from CBD, this 22,5 degrees here, to angle A1? And something to keep in mind whenever we have a tangent, and that's meeting a triangle with all 3 corners touching the circumference of the circle, is that we can jump into the triangle and then to the furthest side away from it. So if we have a tangent meeting a triangle over here, it means that this B, this 22,5 degrees, equals A1, because DBC equals A1 equals 22,5 degrees because of tan-chord theorem. When we're usually not seeing a thing, it usually has to do with tan-chord theorem. It's quite an easy theorem to miss, which just means we have to see for a tangent and a triangle, and then it means that we are jumping into this angle here and then to the furthest side opposite from it. So here into there. If our tangent was continued over here, for example, this angle would be jumping into the triangle and then to the opposite side over there for D1. But that just means we earn 2 marks over there, showing that A1 is 22,5 degrees for 1 mark, and then the other mark for the tan-chord theorem reason over there. 8.1.2 then says D1, because what we can now do is use the information here, CD is equal to DB. So we don't have to write that it's been given, it's only 2 marks, which means we can just use that information to show that angle C here will equal angle B here, because DCB equals DBC equals 22,5 degrees. Because if CD equals DB, this angle equals this angle, because angles op equal sides, which is great for us because now we know that angle C equals 22,5 degrees. And if we want D1, like they were asking for, D1 is the exterior angle of a triangle, which means that D1 equals C plus B over here. We could do interior angles of a triangle, get D2, and then do angles on a straight line to get D1. I know that's often an easier way that most of my students prefer, but if we do see it straight away, D1 equals C plus B over there, which means that D1 equals angle C plus DBC equals 45 degrees, because this one is 22,5, this one is 22,5, together they add up to 45 degrees, and this is because exterior angle of triangle. And that just earned us 2 marks over there. 8.1.3 says calculate the angle of B2. So B2 is over here, it is inside this triangle, but what's most important and something to keep in mind is that we're always trying to look at points where the tangent is interacting with a radius, because a tan meeting a radius is a reason itself, and that will equal 90 degrees over here because of tan perp rad, which means that if we have the 22,5 over here, calculating B2 will be the remaining portion of 90 degrees, which means that CBO equals 90 degrees because of tan perp rad. And then what we can say for B2 equals 90 minus 22,5 degrees. this. This is just calculating now. We didn't have to say again that angle B over here equals 22,5. So we just need to show our working because we wrote down our statement and our reason. Now this is just a calculation, which means that B2 is 67,5 degrees. And that would earn us 2 marks over there. Last question for 8.1. 8.1.4 says calculate the value of O1 over there. So O1 is the angle over here. And the easiest way to calculate O1 is to do angle at center equals 2 times angle at circumference. So usually in a scenario like this, we look for a bow tie where all 4 corners touch the circumference, which means if we're seeing a bow tie and all 4 corners are touching the circumference, it means we have angles in same segment, which means that this angle over here equals this angle over here, and this angle over here equals this angle over here. But in this scenario, we have a bow tie, but not all 4 corners are touching the circumference. We have a bow tie like this, but this O here is not touching the circumference over there, which means that this guy is angle at center. This angle O1 equals 2 times the angle at the circumference for D1. So they're very similar. All we're looking for here is a bow tie that does not have all 4 points touching the circumference compared to the angles in the same segment where all 4 points are touching the circle, which means that all we have to write is that O1 equals 2 times D1 over there, because angle at center equals 2 times angle at circumference, which means that D1 we calculated as 45 degrees earlier, and that means that O1 is 90. So O1 equals 2 times D1, 2 times 45 is 90 degrees, and therefore O1 equals 90 degrees. And that would earn us 2 marks over there. Great, because then 8.2 over here says prove giving reasons that OA, so OA over here, is parallel to CB. So we need to prove parallel. So the best way to prove parallel is to work with the F, the U, or the N from our funky X. I'm not sure if your guys' teachers teach you this, but these are the important grade 10 geometry rules, which means that the F, the U, and the N all have to do with parallel lines over here. The K is angles on a straight line, the Y is angles around a point, the X is vertically opposite angles, but now we can either look for an F, which is corresponding angles that are equal. So this angle will equal this angle here. Cointerior means that they add up to 180 degrees, and then alternating angles means that this angle is equal to this angle. Okay, but now we're proving the converse, because what we need to do is look for an F, a U, or an N and find the equal angles here and equal angles here, or these angles adding up to 180 degrees. And then because of that, we can then say, therefore, these guys are parallel. The most common ones to look for in a situation like this is our F here and our N here. And I can already see an N based off of the information we calculated in 8.1.4 is that we have an N over here. If we're trying to prove that OA is parallel to BC, which means that we're looking for the angle in between the 2 lines. And as we can see, the angle in between the 2 lines is the 90 degrees from O1 and the 90 degrees of CBO over here that we calculated earlier, which means we've already done all the working out. This is only 2 marks. So all we have to write is that O1 equals 90 degrees because this was proven here in 8.1.4. So we can just write proven, and CBO equals 90 degrees. We could either say proven or we could say tan perp rad over there. And therefore angle O1 equals angle CBO. And that is exactly what we needed to prove that OA is parallel to BC, because OA is parallel to BC now, because these angles are equal, and that is because alt angles equal. Great. And that just earned us 2 marks over there, because now 8.3 over here, last question says, it is further given that the radius of the circle, so the radius OA and the radius OB is 12 units. 12 units and 12 units. Calculate the length of BC for 4 marks. So BC over here, we need this length for 4 marks. So if we're going to look in triangle OBA over here, and we have the lengths of 2 radii, and we have a 90 degrees here at our O1, it means that we can do Pythag to get BA. So we'll do that first, and then we'll see why we need to get BA, because OA squared plus OB squared equals AB squared because of Pythag. And OA was given as 12 units. 12 units squared becomes 144, plus OB is 12 units. 12 units squared is also 144, and this equals AB squared, what we want, which means that AB is the square root of 288 units, and that will equal 12 surd 2. So generally just leave it in surd form. Don't try and round to decimals. It's usually easier to handle it like this, which means AB equals that. Calculating the length of BC then will be easy for us, provided we're seeing that we're working with triangle CBA, and as we know, this angle C equals this angle A1 over here, which means that this line BA will equal this line BC over there. So all we have to do is write C equals A1, proven, because we already proved that earlier, and then therefore BA equals BC, or AB, as we wrote it here earlier, equals CB, because sides op equal angles. So sides op equal angles. So we have equal angles. The sides opposite those angles are equal. So we always write what we see. We're saying the sides opposite the equal angles. And that's the reason for why they are equal. And therefore, all we need to do is AB equals 12 surd 2. And that means that CB, or how they want it here, the length of BC, equals 12 surd 2 as well. And that would earn us 4 marks over there and 14 marks for this whole section. Great job, guys. I hope that clarified some things for the grade 11 portion of Euclidean Geometry before we move into prop theorem, riders, and similarity, which is the grade 12 section. But let me know if there are any questions in the comments below. I hope you can approach these questions more calmly when you practice them further by yourselves. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.